Storm is one of those mutants whom we just can't get enough of. From animated appearances like X-Men 97 to her live-action personas, she's everywhere. Her powers are fairly simple. She's capable of manipulating the weather. She controls the wind in the skies and the moisture in the air, and she can manipulate energy patterns to cause any weather phenomenon she likes, from lightning bolts to blizzards. This is, of course, how she got the name Storm, yet that's not all there is to her story. Named Ororo Munroe, Storm was born to a Kenyan priestess and an American photojournalist. While many movies portray her as a mutant, in the comics, she's from a race of sorceresses whose distinctive white hair and eyes surface every 5 generations. While her comic story is storied, in the live-action movies, she's often portrayed as an integral part of the X-Men, due to her being one of the characters that Fox had the rights to. In this video, we'll take a look at some of her live-action appearances and the direction they took the character. Before we get into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. X-Men 2000. Storm is an established X-Man in this movie. A teacher at Xavier's Institute, we see her rescue Wolverine and Rogue from Magneto's associates. After this, when Rogue runs away, scared of her own powers, Storm is part of the team that goes to find her. There, we see her engage in battle with Sabretooth and call upon Lightning to win. We also see Storm as a pivotal member of the X-Men and a critical part of the final battle. Before that, though, we see her and Logan having a conversation which gives us insight into the character. When Logan berates her for siding with Xavier over Magneto, aka picking a world that hates mutants, she says that at least she's chosen a side. Yet, she also reveals to Senator Kelly that sometimes she hates non-mutants because she's scared of what they can do to her and other mutants. After witnessing Kelly's death, she's the one to inform everyone of the flaw in Magneto's plans. Despite the bad one-liners she has, we see that she's a complex character with hidden nuance. Despite standing for humans and protecting them from the likes of Magneto, even if that might make life for mutants easier, she also fears what humans can do to them. This shows that making the noble choice is difficult, but she has the strength of will to do it. While we don't know how many other mutants feel like this, audiences might relate better to Storm than to the idealism of Xavier or the frightening anger of Magneto. In the final battle, we see her use her powers to blast windows, electrocute Magneto's henchmen, and even levitate Wolverine with Jean helping her steady him. All these show that she possesses strength and cunning, making her a formidable foe. Despite all of this, we barely get anything about her origin, except that she was at one point Xavier's student. Will the later X-Men movies tell us more about this character? That remains to be seen. X2, X-Men United, 2003. This movie builds on what we've seen previously of the character. In this movie, Stryker, yes, the guy behind Wolverine's adamantium skeleton, uses Nightcrawler to attack the President of the United States, with the goal of getting his hands on Professor X to use his telepathic abilities to hunt and kill all mutants. While it doesn't take the center stage of the story, Storm's use of her powers both offensively and defensively is absolutely amazing. From creating tornadoes to devastating lightning strikes, she's also a part of the rescue team once again, reminding us of her strategic value. Another important aspect of the character is seen in her conversation with Nightcrawler. We here at Marvelous Videos love the moment where Kurt says he feels pity for those who can't understand differences, and Storm saying she gave up on that pity ages ago because anger can fuel survival. Nightcrawler saying someone so beautiful shouldn't be so angry adds that faith can also fuel peace. This builds on the Storm we saw in the previous movie. She's scared of what humans can do, and she uses that fear to keep herself and her peers safe, but eventually that fear morphs into anger at the lack of understanding, despite her still fighting for the coexistence of mutants and humans. She shed some of the understanding and empathy she had in the previous movie, at least in our opinion, which makes us wonder why she hasn't joined Magneto's team yet proper. After all, if she doesn't understand why humans fear mutants and is simply angry or scared of them, that path eventually might lead to an us versus them mentality instead of the faith that Xavier has that once humans realize mutants aren't a threat, they'll accept them. We have to wonder if this movie is hinting at either Storm changing teams in the future or saying that while she has her reservations, her loyalty to and faith in Xavier is strong enough that she'll stick with the X-Men. And we see the latter too when she plays a pivotal role in the third act. She shows faith in Nightcrawler to teleport her somewhere he's unsure of. And despite being caught in a vision herself, she manages to use her powers to help Charles break out of his own vision before he unknowingly killed all of the humans on the planet. X-Men: The Last Stand, 2006. We feel this is Storm's movie. Not only does she inherit the position of headmistress after Charles's death, but she's a pivotal character in the whole movie. Throughout the film, we see her dedication to continuing Charles's work of making the world a better place for mutants, to quote fans. We see her teach Wolverine the importance of defense while learning from Charles that, as mutants, they always need to be alert, even in times of peace. We see her fight the Brotherhood in a final battle and emerge victorious, keeping the idea that she might be scared of humans or angry at them, but that doesn't mean she'll side with mutants who hurt mutants. Instead, she'll provide a sanctuary for them when the world gets to be too much. While some, such as Magneto's more radical supporters, might call this a bandage on a bullet wound, it shows, at least to us here, that Storm is Charles's true successor. Storm might be horrified by a mutant cure, but she still won't use that as a means to declare war for survival on humans. Nor will she give up her mutant powers, instead choosing to respect those who wish to retain their mutations. Some fans and critics have said that this movie feels shallow and it comes at the expense of the deeper character moments of previous movies. Well, fan reactions can still make one feel that way. This movie is a beloved part of a titular franchise and it deserves a watch before review, even if that watch is just to see Storm being awesome and kicking ass. That said, the rebooted franchise puts her in a different place and we see a whole different side of her character. Let's take a look. X-Men: Days of Future Past, 2014. Storm has a minimal appearance in this work. She comes with Professor X and dies fighting a Sentinel. In the revised 2023, she's a teacher at the X-Mansion. But this is an important movie nonetheless when looking at the character's live-action history, specifically in the Fox X-Men franchise, because beyond this, in the new timeline, we see a whole different Storm. One who probably joined the X-Men a whole lot later than in the originals, because she was well into her teens, if not 20s, when Apocalypse found her. X-Men: Apocalypse, 2016. Apocalypse found a young adult Storm in Cairo, where she was about to be attacked by a group. At her home, he caught up with world events while Storm fangirled about Mystique and how that shaped her relationship with the idea of being a mutant. In this movie, becoming one of Apocalypse's 4 horsemen is what makes Storm's hair go white and increases her powers. While she helps Apocalypse throughout the movie, when she sees his disregard for mutant lives and especially sees him hurt her hero Mystique, she teams up with the X-Men and provides cover so that Jean can unleash her power on the ancient mutant. Then, Storm and Quicksilver talk about his decision to keep the familial ties he has with Magneto a secret and their choices to stay in the X-Mansion, showing her forming new bonds with a different group of X-Men and finding her place in the world, beyond being a criminal on the streets of Cairo. We see a strength of character in this version of Storm, who not only knows how to fend for herself, but also knows how to right the wrongs she's done. Next, we get just a brief glimpse of her character before we see her bringing the house down with lightning, or at least bringing some trains down. Deadpool 2, 2018. In this movie, we just get a brief cameo from Storm, where she and the rest of the X-Men are in a room where Deadpool can't see them, but the fans can. At this point, Wade Wilson is complaining about how the only X-Men he ever gets to see are Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Colossus. It's a fun gag which the character's posture and blank expressions help deliver. It's one of a bunch of incredible meta jokes in this movie. Yet nothing is as amazing as Storm showing her strength and bringing down a train where aliens are attacking mutants and humans alike to protect those who need her help. As Magneto said in X-Men 97, she's the closest thing to a goddess, and boy, do we see that in X-Men: Dark Phoenix. X-Men: Dark Phoenix. Despite how divided the fandom is on this movie, no one can deny Storm kicked ass. Sure, we might not get as many deep moments as in the original timeline with Storm, but that doesn't mean they aren't there at all. After she sees Jean Grey kill Mystique while in the throes of the Phoenix's power, fans often focus on how Storm is the one who Cyclops feels betrayed by when she says that no matter what, Jean did what she did. Then of course, when fighting against Magneto and his ilk, when the Professor goes to talk to Jean and save her from Eric and Hank's revenge quest, Storm shows off a wide variety of her powers, at least until a power dampening collar is placed on her. Gotta love the cheesy magic collar that takes away your superpowers trope. At least it's a little better than the one in Star Wars. Regardless, when the aliens attack, all the mutants are freed and Storm unleashes, well, a lightning storm on the attackers and her enemies. While this was Jean's movie, we do see her friend Storm get some good screen time, from using her powers to make ice cubes for a party to being an absolute tank in the field. Yet her emotional connections with other characters are limited to her telling Cyclops Jean looks fine as foreshadowing right before the character goes ballistic. This is a far cry from the deep conversations that Jean and Storm share in shows like X-Men 97. Marvelous verdict! Well, what can we say about Storm that hasn't been said already? She's the definition of a character who can kick your butt and look good doing it. In the original series, perhaps because we see an older Storm played by Halle Berry, we see a lot more gravitas and persona from the character. Deep insight and emotional motivations are shared. The younger Storm, played by Alexandra Shipp in the revised timeline, as fans call it, also shows emotional depth in X-Men Apocalypse and is a person who demonstrates tremendous growth. Fans say that Storm stands up for her friends, but she'll call them out when needed, and yet she will also fight for what she believes in with the best of her abilities until the very end. This means she's a mutant warrior with flaws and angst and such, but she also rises above all of that when it matters the most to become the hero the X-Men and the world needs. We gotta agree with Magneto on this one, the closest thing to a goddess indeed. But that's all we've got for you today. Clearly we have a big soft spot for Storm, but who's your favorite X-Man? And what's your favorite story with Storm? Now that Marvel is working with the X-Men, do you want to see a Black Panther storyline where she marries the King of Wakanda like her comic book counterpart? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and as always, subscribe for more fabulous fandom content.